Soviets and Soviets, how you all doing? This is Con Over.
This is Ru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, we promised more Division play. Maybe what we didn't promise you is a little bit of a Eastern Civil War here. What's going on today, sir, on Vertigo?
On the left-hand side in the blue, we have Jane Cerberus. Oh, I'll just call him Jane. Anyway, he's playing the KDA division. On the right-hand side in red, we have ourselves Tofuk once again as the VDV.
So VDV, I know we've seen them before, but we haven't seen the Germans on this one. So tell us a little bit more about that, please, sir.
Yeah, KDA is like the political East German division. Infantry spam, really bloody good. Like cheap, like SS troop and crow infantry are actually very well equipped and quite beefy. Cheap tank spam. They're just honestly just very cost-effective units overall. May not have some of the highest quality stuff apart from some of the Soviet attachments, but by God, they can definitely kick some ass in a town fight. And town fight, it's all up north. This may get confusing as we have Spetsnaz and Spetsnaz.
Let's just say, you know, blue and red. This is actually, you know what this is? This is a war game in more ways than one, I feel like.
With live ammunition.
Exactly. MI-27 blows one of those gunships out of the sky, but yeah, he dies as well. So good. We are starting early, ladies and gentlemen. So tell us a little more about the air power with this too. So, you know, the air power might see a little bit of emphasis, but might just be, you know, standard.
Yeah, I mean, VDV, like, probably going to be very important for him to maintain their superiority. At the same time, those book M runs, which are quite plentiful in Jane's deck, are very good at shooting aircraft out of the sky.
Very, very true. Sorry, I was watching as the Spetsnaz over here are just absolutely just blowing through all their load trying to kill their rival and Spetsnaz teams. They're just having all of those RPO incendiary launchers. Kind of watching from the outside with the 85 mils and BNTs, I feel like blue infantry here is really going to struggle against this opening rush.
Yeah, I mean, Tofuk managed to get, you know, a very good amount of troops, of course, being VDV, having a lot of forward deployment stuff early on, to get into that town first, and just a good amount of fire support as well. And that is a good play, because if you can capture that town early on, it's pretty hard to lose, as it's open ground between you and the enemy. You're also seeing these Z SPGs from Jane as you try to flank around and get that T-64, but in a frontal engagement, a car is not going to beat a tank.
Down to the south of that, great interdiction forcing. You see right now it's +6 over here for Jane Cerberus, and we know, you can definitely bring that back whenever you want to, but really, really great interdiction. Might be able to, you know, lock in, what is that down here, Echo? Yeah, Echo. And I don't think you can easily get troops in there otherwise. In fact, no, that is the major arterial. You really have to hold that and lock that down.
Yeah, it's definitely a very good maneuver. I mean, with those UAZs, you can afford to be quite ballsy with them because they're so cheap and plentiful. We're seeing once again trying to gate the T-64, but up against a tank, not going to work out well. So Jane does have an opportunity here to try and knock out Echo as soon as possible, and we are seeing that as he moves around to Spetsnaz.
Yes, unfortunately for him, I think the SPGs are going to start getting, you know, taken out as we have the Kukurs, we have the Spetsnaz, the Desantniki, and yeah, the car goes down pretty quick.
MiG-29 goes down, yeah. Those bucks are scary, man. Like, that's the really nice thing with KDA, you can get a very good air defense network, which is something you're going to need against the VDV.
But it is worth mentioning that the buck is already out, so in this case, the buck does in fact stop here. So I think some more supply coming on in, but the thing is, he does have a decent opportunity for supply for quite a bit, and one thing we haven't seen too much until just now is that first descent over here from, you know, descent Kashmir, I'm going to call it, for Tofuk finally taking a position, so at least cutting down that bleed, because already we're at 800 to 0.
Yeah, that is quite a heavy advantage early on. Now, once again, though, like, Tofuk did manage to get a very good opportunity advantage up north by getting into Alpha at least, so I do think that is a worthwhile thing to bleed. It's going to be about whether he can capitalize on this properly. So he has lost a little bit of ground on Alpha, and we are seeing the cheap, plentiful KDA spam start to, you know, scurry array in.
One thing that's worth mentioning is that, T-55As, as we can see here, these guys, the 100mm smooth bores, not the best. And when I say not the best, I mean there is certainly a reason that these guys are, what is it over here, 45 points to basically on the other side, where the worst tank they have, legit worst tank, is 185. I say 310, but 185 here. So
yeah, honestly, the cheap tank spam will probably work really well here for Jane, because there's not a whole lot of like heavy, scary tanks on Tofug's side. There's a few of those T-64s, but at close range, those T-55s can prove to be quite a bit of a threat. And especially against all this like cheap infantry stuff, being able to just throw cheap T-55s to deal with light armored vehicles and really everything will work out quite well.
yes, at close range though, and that's always such a unique kind of phrase to, I'm not going to say work past, but rather it's still worth mentioning they have to get to close range.
Up north, that's pretty easy. It's pretty like a close range battle.
Yeah, you're right.
I think that's where they work well. Down south will be a bit different. That's where KDA will definitely falter, because that's one big issue, is they don't really have a whole lot of long-range anti-tank.
And indeed, the other side's more accurate here, as Concurs is looking for that agreement, takes out one of those Fagots, and actually, no, I think it's now Fagot. So.
AdCon, yeah, you get to start casting Cold War games with me, because now you get to feel the pain of trying to maneuver around what the hell you call a unit. That's been the joke for like pretty much a decade now in like war game. It's like, what do you call a unit? Fagot. Yes. we're sick with that.
Yeah, it allows yeah.
It's a bugle.
Exactly.
That's what it is, guys.
I'd really prefer not to get demonetized because of a designation made 30 years ago. The Spetsnaz gunfight continues to the point that, geez, yeah, property values to the north are just absolutely getting blown to hell.
Say it's a fire sale.
Oh, it's absolutely a fire sale, and those Spetsnaz are showing you the barrels of their rocket launchers, which are indeed firing fire. So.
But now we're starting to see the KDA spam start to come on in, and like I said before, those KDA shooters may technically be like Ursad's trooping, but they're packing a punch. They got a machine gun and an RPG-7 and a whole lot of guys, so they are big, beefy, and ready to bugger about.
True. Now, I think we just saw another aircraft go down to the south, judging by the ballistic trail of it. Didn't see what it was, but I did hear the missiles over on my side. Did you ever happen to catch what that was there?
I didn't catch it either.
Well, the missiles did, so.
Yes. Good for the missiles.
Suppose the important ones here certainly got the point. Now, Desant Razvedka trying to engage, not the easiest again with all of that anti-tank and all that kind of support that we have for T-55. I'm wondering if we should be seeing some artillery really from the Eastern Front here. They got the 122s for sure. I think they might be able to bring in some tubes as well.
Indeed. Yeah. Just especially up north with just how dense that fighting is. You know, a good grad rocket strike would come in well, or helicopter rocket strikes, as we see the Mi-24 and Mi-8 provide some rather excellent fire. Good God, I love seeing the rockets just fire in this game, man.
Yeah, we talked about it on Tuesday, but you're absolutely right. There's something, again, it's very, very pleasing. It's maybe not doing the wheelies in the air, but, you know.
Mi-23 comes in, gets good hits on the hinds. The Mi-8, though, getting a little bit close. Once again, those anti-aircraft machine guns on the tanks probably a little bit too good, and does manage to shoot down the helicopter effectively. Mi-29 coming in, does manage to get the intercept, but really get intercepted by the Buk.
Yeah, I gotta check the accuracy on these things. It's brutal. 65% static. Yeah, that's nothing to shake a stick at.
Yeah, and throw on any extra veterancy, because I believe he is 2 Chevron veterancy.
Yes.
I believe it gets up to at least like 70, like mid-70s.
Yeah, that's definitely worth shaking something at. I'm not sure I can say it in this replay here, but T-55-8 engaged T-64. and 9 years newer. Now he's alive 9 times longer than his former brethren here in the meantime.
Oh, and now the northern side is just turning into a classic grind. Once again, really does favour KDA if Jane does play her cards right. We still see a decent amount of fire support here from Tofuk at T64, getting good pickoffs.
And we're going to be seeing... Maybe... is he trying to sneak command in the south? No. The Gas 66B is not getting in command. We are going to get an officer, but I don't think... Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how this works out here down to the south. If we see that down to the south, Jane's got a really, really big leg up over here on Tofuk.
On south?
So, no, if he's able to sneak that away.
Oh yes, because he can at least hold it into that northern forest point and neutralize the point, which will probably force Tofuk to get a CV as well, because he really can't afford to bleed anymore.
And he's got one though. There's some Miki command coming in there too.
I think he's gonna try to sneak it into the town.
It doesn't matter where he sneaks it. The fact that it's there, that's the important part.
It's going to be an even Stevens now. Everything has been captured. Now it's going to be about conquering. And we do see some of those Nonas be brought in from Tofuk to Batiat town to smithereens. And getting some pretty good hits.
Yes, indeed. If this is you. I know one of the things you and I kind of talked about over the course of casting for the week, this week anyway, is the dominant meta for this game is still really being developed. There's the early, do you want to bring CPs and command vehicles in early? Maybe not, because you can definitely kind of lose a lot of position because of that. At the same time, is the meta now maybe snipe logical places you believe the commands to be?
Yeah.
Like I'm wondering right now, Nona's, I know at least there's going to be some air power over here in those trees. Do I hit that with my tubes? Do I go after it with my guns as well? Like, what do I do? Is that, I think, a dominant kind of thing you think there's going to be moving forward, or what's going on here?
A CV sniping is always, even going back to raw games, a pretty important playstyle, whether you like it or hate it. It's usually better to do with like cluster or really heavy artillery, especially if you have a confirmation on the target as well, because it can win or lose you matches depending on how it goes. But yeah, just speaking of other meta stuff real fast, I think forward deployment is definitely, like, divisions which have good, like, a lot of forward deployment are definitely a little bit better, and just cheap, cost-effective stuff seems to be doing better than, like, buying out the super heavy, crazy powerhouse units. I do like how that plane crashed into the Spetsnaz. I think he did a bit of damage as well.
I was actually more distracted by the fact that we were going to see an artillery support over here on that OSA. Question. Nope, never mind. That could have been so good. Unfortunately, T-55 is probably going to buy it instead. In the meantime, actually, the Germans are bringing in their own artillery. We've got the Malka over here in the back, engaging that 203, looking for maybe the Razvedka. I think he's anticipating a CV snipe, and unfortunately, he's not going to be getting it.
Yeah, and that Malka is a perfect CV sniping unit. It is an absolutely insane, like, weapons platform. You can just reach out, touch someone, and blow them up from, well, in this case, almost 40 kilometers away. Which is just, the ranges in this game are insane. Like, at that point, you'll have, like, a unit with, like, 40 kilometer range. It's like, okay, yeah, we get it. You can shoot across the entire map. No need to be smart.
Well, it's one of the things you have a replay on Tuesday. You know, we have Tofuk, for example, has been with us a couple of times, and him having a replay on Tuesday and having shells come in from Thursday for the next week.
Preemptive bombardment.
Exactly. Now, tube artillery to the northern side, we have 120s trying to find the anti-tank position. Hitting that building, not really going to get any joy out of that. But now aiming for the concurs. Okay.
You know, the battle lines are definitely starting to solidify now as both sides just kind of feel a bit more safer to invest in real-line support units, like all the artillery, instead of trying to get a bunch of frontline. Oh, we are seeing another CV from Jane actually being, I think, brought into Echo, which is quite an interesting call, considering he already has a CV in Echo. Maybe he doesn't think it has much time to live.
Yeah, I'm not sure I really agree with that. But what might be the reasons for that? You said might not be much time to live. Anything else?
Oh yeah, I think probably got Spetsnaz up north may potentially bite to dust. So, you know, sneak CV in the southern side of Echo, especially where he actually has a pretty good foothold here, which is, you know, the anti-tank gun as well as some of the infantry. That's another sneakier position to hold.
No. One thing that is kind of surprising to me is that, despite the fact that there's an awful lot of blue to the south, and not so much red, honestly, why is it that we're not seeing a greater investment on just trying to blitz that, whether that's with air power or, heck, with vehicles? Like, why are we not seeing more aggression there? Is it that old, well, my opponent's attacking me up here, therefore I'm going to engage him up here in the north? Or what is that? What's going on here?
Yeah, I
the
think
psychology?
he's just. think he's just very much focused in just trying to grind out up north, as this is a bit more of a better ground for Jane to engage with. He have good long-range anti-tank down south, so he doesn't really want to be engaging all that much. We are seeing him move an MI2 over, actually gonna get shot down there. But also just looking quickly up north, the KDAs are slowly breaking through. Just a horde of very motivated East Germans will be enough to beat up these Descent-Idki.
Yes, indeed. Just watching the T-64 start to engage everything else here, though, too. So the RPG-7 doesn't quite have the same reach-out and touchability as some of his comrades over here. So nothing to sneeze at either. Descent-Niki, though. Okay, so Descent-Niki, KDA Schutzen. KDA Schutzen should come out on top, right?
Yeah, it's just numbers. Like, Descent-Idki also very good infantry as well, especially with their bloody fantastic RPG. But the KDAs, as you see, you put them in a town, they're gonna be quite a while before they get blown out of it.
But as if to look for some help, unguided bombs, blowing a hole in the countryside. So apparently he was looking to send a message. Unfortunately, I don't know who he was sending it to.
He was trying to CV snipe maybe, but the CV did maneuver out of the ray.
The irony is he's putting it right back to where the bombs were. So actually, which I absolutely adore this play. Just think about it. You think to yourself, okay, I hit that area, he's not there. That's a deep play, yes sir?
It's like if you're playing a battleship, but you cheat by moving one of your ships into an area which your opponent has already, like, declared.
Brian, why are you talking about our last game night? You know I'm still salty about that.
I know, you...
You were like, yes, I also actually have these things that fire little pellets, and they have crewed by aliens, and that was a battleship joke that really didn't get anywhere. It actually kind of sunk. But, what, you know, you talk about the North, you talk about the fact that you're going to grind out that town. Is Warno a game that promotes that grind play, or is it one of those things that really promotes a much more dynamic focus in other areas?
I think on a map like this, it definitely comes down to grind, as it's really just two central points. I mean, in Echo you can do some fancy maneuvers, but both divisions are definitely a bit more close quarters, to spam infantry into a town area and hope for the best, so that's where we're just seeing the main engagement here. We're also seeing some rocket artillery being fired up north, trying to get at CV as well as other units in that town, or forest, but not exactly doing too much.
No, it was close. It was close. Definitely got a lot of pressure on him. Unfortunately, his intended target was able to get away in the meantime. I'm wondering what would have happened had he tried to engage the Nonas at the same time. Kind of pound the southern force that he hits the northern one with the rocket artillery. I don't know. We'll never find out now. But I am struck by the fact that these T-62s are being brought on in now. This kind of play reminds me almost like a Panzer L6 kind of thing. These are just rinky-dink enough that they're okay in certain moments, but you got to bring them in your own wolf packs to be even remotely effective.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how this armored force actually engaged, because you got the T-64s also back out in the open. I'm guessing he's going to throw in all these T-62s and T-55 to deal with the rest of the Descent-Idki, and it's starting to look pretty good here for Jane. He's using his artillery to pound out the rest of the town. Tofuk is having to, well, set up defenses more in the forest area, which is not as ideal. And those T-62Ms may not be as tip-top compared to the T-64s, but they do have a pretty powerful ATGM in that tank, which, and also the main cannon can blow up that T-64, even at range.
And that's the important thing, isn't it? The T-64 is not going to say a bugbear necessarily, but to the T-55s, it might as well be, well, a giant against, you know, very, very tiny opponents. Checking elsewise, the Malka is going to come back into, I think, engagement soon enough. He's actually looking to find that Nona. Unfortunately, at best, he might be able to take out the Grozvoy that's still on ground, but yeah.
We're just seeing, there's a whole lot of 120mm mortars here from Jane, just peppering the entire front line.
But yeah, I mean, I like that. I feel like the 120 in this game is going to be the 81mm for Warno. I mean, for SP2, excuse me. I think it's 100% what you need.
We've just gone up in caliber in 40 years. Now the 80 is more like the 60, and we don't even talk about the 60s anymore.
No, we don't. But we do talk about this rocket artillery that's hitting the northern kind of push. So yes, the T-55s and T-62s are being aggressive. Unfortunately, they're stunned up. They're panicked between the BMDs, the Santnikis, T-64s. Heck, even that BMP, the infantry, I think, is maybe not overmatched, but in for quite a fight.
Yeah, that was a very clutch rocket strike, as you see, those tanks are currently combat ineffective, giving Tofuk the perfect opportunity to get into the town. I'd really like to see Tofuk probably use some smoke to actually get his infantry into the town. Well, I guess at the same time, he probably doesn't want to use smoke, so his tanks can actually provide fire support.
Ah, smoke, you mean like down south of 120 hills? The 120 mills?
Yeah, well, look at that. I like that a lot.
Exactly. Exactly. I like a little bit less of that poor little infantry vehicle was taken out. But if you're dropping off smoke, that concurs, which causes so much issue, which, you know, doesn't have any ammo anymore. Can't move. Can't fight. Can't do a whole lot. And bringing in some recon, well, this would be nice and strong, I think, for getting those 120s. Yeah, this is trying to do some more sniping now.
And we're just seeing the KDA spam really in full effect. We're just seeing T-55s all over the bloody place. There's it's like multiple blobs of T-62, T-55s in, what's it called again? Alpha points, there we go. I can remember the areas. It'd just be about whether you can get them into a position to actually provide effective fire support. I mean, ones up north are moving up.
Yes, they are. I mean, there was very, very plucky Spetsnaz was trying to come in. I'm not sure if he was trying to get surrenders or just to get close quarter kills or what the heck was going on. But, well, he didn't find it.
He did not.
He didn't find it at all.
Oh, we're seeing some combat helicopters here from Jane. May not have the best of combat helicopters available to him, but an Mi-8 with a bunch of, well, miniguns is still quite scary.
Well, between the Igla, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Pretty real bad, actually. Yeah, but that 30 mic grenade launcher, yikes.
They just put more gun on the helicopter. It's honestly crazy. It's a huge amount of firepower on a rather unassuming platform. Su-25 coming in. He's trying to go for the CV snipe here?
Yes, he is. He might get it, too. No! He aims too far north!
Clutch UAZ. And the T-62s kind of in the southern area of Alpha are getting some very good long-range hits on the infantry. The northern blob of T-62s are actually getting buggered back here a bit at T-64, holding the ground rail. And this is coming down to his Mi-8. Yeah, they got the ATGMs. Not exactly the greatest, but still enough to force that T-64 back.
Well, the other one actually had the 30 mils and actually had a much stronger rocket system. I'm not sure it was an S5 what that was over there, but he did have more opportunity. The MiG coming in. Nice snipe.
Nice snipe indeed.
Of course, the MiG-27 didn't get a whole lot of work really done with his. More rocket attack. He's going back in. He might pick up a CV on this. Stun for sure. Oof. No, we discovered this week it is not good being any kind of pilot. It's kind of funny too when we go for it. We look at really SD-44 and SD-2, and what we discover is that you got a pilot, it could potentially be deadly, but for the most part, usually pretty much okay, unless you get mobbed by Spitfires or something like that. Here, I feel like one of the most deadly professions is to be a pilot.
Yeah, unless you play like a bunch of Ace Combat and know how to avoid all the missiles. It's not a matter of if, but when you get shot down.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it even happens to Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It did.
And if it can happen to Tom Cruise, it can happen to any one of us.
Yeah.
So, T-55A in the down south, it's kind of interesting. The artillery is being used to really aggress on vehicles, on MBTs more than anything else. I'm not sure I really agree with that kind of target selection. I feel like that material should be used more for anti-personnel. I mean, it is HE for a reason.
Yeah, like down south, unless he's gonna like push on through after an artillery strike, I don't really think it's worthwhile to really be investing munitions down here. You really need to just try and take the northern point. We're only 13 minutes left in the match. Jane has that fantastic point advantage due to the early CV game, and now considering it's just a bleed-a-thon now, because Tofug bleeded points so hard, Jane can just be a stalling game. He can just keep spamming stuff up north. He doesn't have to take territory, he just doesn't need to lose territory.
It's actually kind of funny that the Germans are the ones playing the Stalin game, so we think that'd be a Russian thing.
They took inspiration, but there we go. Tofug is briefly capping down south.
Exactly.
Maybe he's just trying to get a CV snipe down south with that artillery.
But he's not aiming for CVs. He's aiming.
Might think the CV is in that forest because that's more of the likely area for it to be in because it has cover. But Jane is juking him by keeping it just slightly behind the forest.
I wonder if he should just try to go and push that Spetsnaz south. I don't know. Anyway, looking back to the northern side, T-64s from the east are all dead. I would not be surprised if we see a resurgent push trying to find and kill that command vehicle up there. I think that's what we're getting set up for. We're getting T-55s and more infantry with more Schutzen being delivered into that town. And while some of those are pioneers of flamethrowers, I think, I could be wrong here, I think we're starting to see some exhaustion over here from Tofug in terms of, let's say, long-term prognosis for the division.
Oh, I definitely agree. He's lost a lot of detonated key, and by God, it's more KDA Schutzens to, well, shoot up this entire map.
I think it's kind of surprising about this too. Ooh, wait, T-62 down south. He's going hunting.
Oh, he's going in hot. Look at him go.
And he's gonna see as well. Oh no, he's okay. He's engaged in the M8. Okay.
Yeah.
That's Rinky Dinky. But there we go. There we go. Descent commando over here is gonna take an awful lot of firepower. I think this might be the end of the south. Yeah, geez, the 21.
He wanted to make sure.
Well, the funny thing is the Igla over here is like, dude, I try to protect you, but, you're kind of in the open. And I'm out of ammunition.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some exhaustion. Because there's really not much left on the field here. Down south, it's pretty barren. Up north, pretty barren. And the Schutzens are just walking on through.
Well, and now the Nonas were able to actually engage for the infantry to try to, get that CV snipe. And he had him. He had him in the trees. He was right there. Unfortunately, he has no more munitions left, which means he's got to go and bring in more ammo and everything like that. And he doesn't have it. He just does not have it anymore.
He does not. It's really just artillery and T-64s now on Tofug's front line. And he's got T-64 BVs, which are pretty damn good. They have more frontal armor, but still, that's not gonna get you through hordes and hordes of angry East Germans and a few traitorous Spetsnaz.
No, probably not. And yeah, it might be only 10 minutes left, but there's still 85 down south. So anti-tank gun is still, doing Trotsky's work here, picking up some small units here and there. Unfortunately, I mean, you're not going to use a cannon to start shooting at infantry very often, and I would see that the long term of this is not going to be bueno.
Oh, there's too much infantry here for him to really deal with. Ned's bringing up T-64 as well, but he needs infantry to hold the point, and he just doesn't have it. We're seeing up north the horde of Shuchens are just barreling their way through. There's T-64 simplified fire support, but only so much.
True. I mean, RPG-7, I have to check over here myself. Wait, Command Snipe? If this is a Command Snipe, this game's over. I mean, it's probably fair to say the game's pretty much over as is. If that command vehicle goes down, it is all over but the shouting.
Yeah. He does bugger off behind the cover of T-64s at least.
There's the sun coming brought into the south, another command vehicle being brought in here. Unfortunately for him, yeah, he's going to stop the bleed for the instant. But there's still T-62s going to be coming on in, and the Schutzen themselves already picked it back off with the RPG. So, well done, sir.
And
yeah,
he has the top out.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty standard 2k KD, but once again, Tofuk just led heavy towards the end.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Now, you can see the book over here really, really paying for itself. Jeez, what is that? That goes for 140 points. It's got, what, 800 by himself?
Yeah, he's almost an anti-aircraft ace.
Well, he wasn't dead. That's true. I think he does die, though. The Malka, picking up at one of those 122s. Well done there. Managed to kill a landed helicopter. That's where that little the Mi-8 there, the hit right there. And some small moments of noteworthiness. But intriguingly, if you go to the other side, you see the quality difference. T-64. He's a king.
Ooh. Yeah, that's... Can't even fit it on the screen, jeez. He just blew up every single, like, UAZ and T-55 on the planet.
Well, that the SPGs, that was that early push. He was the one that rotated from the northern side to the sun, that kind of central position. But, we talk about inflection points in each of these replays. I feel like even more so than SD2, there are snowball effects that happen in these replays. Not for nothing, but I'm trying to think if there was a more effective one here than the anti-air net that was set up over on the western side.
Yeah, it definitely helped out quite a lot. Because, yeah, once you can't use those MiGs that effectively for bombers as well, especially in the town where you just want to keep dropping bombs in it to keep all the Shuchens at bay, you're going to get bugged. And I also think it just came down to the infantry game. I mean, just numbers, right? You get more Shuchens. And also a Shuchen squad is double the size compared to a Descent ET squad as well. So that's an uphill battle. You're going to need a good amount of fire support to leverage a victory out of that. And we just didn't see it because, yeah, KDA has really good anti-air and really good artillery as well. They may be the infantry spam division, but they do get some quality stuff.
They do. They do. Now that they have the first feature over here on the channels, they acquitted themselves very well.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the top tier divisions right now because they're so cost effective.
But any final gems of wisdom to deliver to our viewers today?
No.
Well, folks, in that case then, until next time, I'm Connell Work.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.